So I have 4 children, and my husband and I had made decisions earlier in our marriage to save, and we were in a position that we were able to, with sacrifice, make that decision.
And you were raised by a single mother.
I was raised by a
You were raised by a single mother.
I was raised by a single
You have 4 children, you and your
Yes.
husband. But even with a 2-family income home, how were you able to say, we have enough money in the bank, I'm gonna leave this, not just the job because of the title, but with the title came a nice paycheck.
Yes, yes. It was a very difficult decision. It was not an easy one. My husband and I spoke about it quite often when I had finally made that decision to leave my job, and what were the sacrifices going to be able for me to walk away. So leaving the high-paying job that I had was very difficult. It was not an easy one, but there was a different cost, and the cost was my mental health and not being there for my family the way that I wanted to, and you can't put a price on that.
So take me to, and you can't, right? So take me to that moment. I imagine, you know, as you said, you'd been talking with your husband about it, but much of the decision rested on you.
Yes.
Right? Because he was there to support whatever you wanted to do.
Yes.
But the heart decision and the head decision all came from you.
Yes. It came from having the pandemic start, because if you would have asked me 13 months ago, Tamron, would I be where I am right now? I would say never. I'd never leave corporate. It's what I was raised to do, what I wanted to do. So making the decision to leave a career for 17 years was very difficult. And I was torn between supporting my family as well as supporting my job and doing something and leaving something that I loved so much. And that was the hardest piece. And I think that I felt like I was losing my identity with leaving my job, but I also knew that there was a sacrifice that needed to be made, and the sacrifice wasn't going to be my family.
When you look, oh, that's powerful. It was not going to be your family. Did you make a list, like, okay, these are the things I would lose, these are the things I would gain? How did you make the ultimate decision of what was the true priority?
I didn't make a list. I think that over several weeks, I thought about what I was going to gain in the sense of staying home. And I knew I was losing a lot because it was all I knew. I was raised by a single mother. I was taught to go to school, gain a career, elevate through your career. I was motivated by the title, the money. So walking away was something that I never thought I would do. And then when I finally realized I wasn't showing up for my kids, and I wasn't necessarily showing up for my job the way that I wanted to.
So here you were basically, neither thing was benefiting. You weren't showing up. Yes, physically you were there, but neither, you know, the work or your relationship with your children was getting the best of you.
That's right.
Which has to be so difficult and hurtful because you don't feel like you're excelling at either one of these things. Congratulations on the food truck.
Thank you.
I mean, but getting there was a process. I should also say, how do you have such delicious looking food and didn't bring a drop to me this morning? I've had, what? I mean, come on, Farida, I need
I'm gonna have to pull up the food truck.
I will be standing out on that corner. Your children are 6, 7, 13, and 18. That is a lot of financial pressure.
Yes.
College, other expenses, all of these hopes and dreams that these kids have and that you want to help them achieve. A lot of crying to make this decision. This is a painful process to get to this point.
Yes, it was a painful process. I remember the day distinctly when I said something had to give. I was working really long hours. I had a really difficult day of, unfortunately, doing some layoffs. And I came downstairs and my mom was helping me and she had said something funny. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I smiled and I laughed. And my 7-year-old son said, "Wow, Mommy, you're laughing. You're happy. I haven't seen you happy in a long time." And that was what I needed to hear. There was my child seeing me unhappy. I wasn't showing up for him. And I needed to make a change. That night, as I laid in bed with my husband, I looked over at him and I said, something has to give. And I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I need to leave. And he said, all right, babe, we'll figure it out. That's literally what he said.
Did he feel extra pressure? Because, I mean, obviously you didn't know that the food truck was going to be successful, and you didn't know at that time that you would even do the food truck. Did he feel an extra sense of pressure? Did you transfer it just to him?
If he felt extra pressure, he never showed it. He never showed it. And that's why I was able to leave with peace in my heart, as hard as it was, because if he was feeling that extra pressure, he never showed it.
I, in reading your story, of all of the great things that stood out, the thing that stood out the most to me is that you said last week you were able to, for the first time, take your child to the first day of school.
Yes.
Because you were always working.
Yes. So last Wednesday, I was able to take my children to school in the morning and feel the anxiety that they were feeling going into school. It was a new school, and look in their eyes, even through their mask, their nervousness, and I was nervous with them, but they were holding me as I sat in the back of the car, and it just felt amazing to soak up that moment. I had missed those moments so often, and other special moments because of work, and I won't trade that anymore.